The first light of day spills over the vast expanse of the Grand Canyon. Crimson and amber hues paint the stratified rock formations, casting long shadows across the ancient landscape. The air hangs still, unnaturally quiet for this time of day. No birds call, no insects chirp. Just the soft whisper of wind threading through juniper and pinyon pines. The hunter's weathered truck navigates a narrow service road few tourists ever see. The vehicle crawls to a stop at a designated hunting area bordering the national park's boundaries, where permitted seasonal hunting is carefully regulated. The hunter, a man in his mid-40s with deep creases around his eyes from years squinting against the sun, steps out. His movements are practiced, efficient, the result of 15 seasons tracking game in this territory. He wears faded camouflage that's seen better days, but his equipment is meticulously maintained. He checks his hunting license and permit, tucking them back into his breast pocket. Legal, authorized. This matters to him, a man who respects both the wilderness and the regulations that protect it. He inhales deeply, tasting the distinctive mineral-rich air of the canyon. Something feels different today. The quality of silence presses against his eardrums, creating an almost tangible weight. The hunter shoulders his pack and adjusts his rifle strap. 15 years tracking deer in this region had taught him to read the landscape like a familiar book. His knowledge wasn't acquired through formal education, but through thousands of hours observing animal behavior, weather patterns, and the subtle language of the wilderness. He begins his descent along a lesser-known trail. His boots leave barely visible impressions in the dusty soil, a testament to his light-footed approach. Each step is placed with deliberate care, part of the hunter's unspoken dialogue with the environment. His mind drifts to his cabin 40 miles north, where photographs of his family adorn rough-hewn shelves. His son had left for college last fall, the first in their family to pursue higher education. His wife had insisted they take out a second mortgage to make it happen, worth every penny, though it meant extra hunting seasons to supplement their income. The hunter pauses to drink from his canteen. Water is sacred in the canyon, a lesson taught by a severe case of dehydration during his early years. That incident had nearly ended his life, leaving him with a profound respect for the desert's harsh demands. He scans the ridgeline, noting how the typical morning activity is absent. No ravens soaring on thermals, no desert bighorns navigating precarious slopes. Even the ubiquitous canyon lizards are nowhere to be seen. His hand reflexively tightens around the rifle strap. 30 years of hunting had honed his instincts. Animals vanished for a reason. Predators, environmental changes, or sometimes things humans had yet to understand. The hunter's radio crackles with static, the morning check-in from other permitted hunters in adjacent zones. He responds with his coordinates, listening as voices confirm positions miles away. He's alone in this sector, just as he prefers. Continuing along the narrowing path, he notes fresh deer tracks, a promising sign. The cool morning amplifies scents. Juniper, sage, mineral-rich soil, and something else. Something wrong. An undertone he can't identify. The hunter crouches, examining the ground more carefully. The deer track suddenly veers sharply to the left, as if the animal had been startled. He follows the direction of the prints, moving with practiced stealth through a cluster of scrub brush. The terrain changes subtly. The soil becomes darker, moister. Unusual for this arid environment. Small stones give way to larger rocks, then boulders. The hunter navigates the increasingly difficult path, drawn forward by professional curiosity and decades of experience. The tracks lead to a narrow gap between two massive sandstone formations, a crevice he's never noticed in all his years traversing this territory. The opening is partially concealed by overgrown vegetation, but recent disturbance suggests something has moved through recently. The hunter hesitates. His timetable for the day doesn't allow for unplanned exploration. The rational choice would be to mark the location on his GPS and return another day. Yet something compels him forward, the same instinct that had saved his life during a sudden mountain lion encounter years earlier. He squeezes through the gap, the rough stone scraping against his backpack. The passage narrows before suddenly opening to reveal a small sheltered alcove within the canyon wall. What catches his attention isn't the alcove itself, but what lies beyond. A dark void, a perfect arch of emptiness cutting into the rock face. A cave entrance. Unmapped. Unmarked on any of the topographical guides he's studied over the years. The hunter approaches cautiously, all thoughts of deer tracking forgotten. The entrance is roughly 7 feet high, wide enough for a person to walk through comfortably. No natural cave formation should exist here according to the geological surveys of the area. The cool breath of air emerging from the darkness carries that same unidentifiable scent he detected earlier, organic yet foreign. His flashlight reveals the beginning of a downward sloping tunnel, its walls unnaturally smooth. Professional caution battles with curiosity. He should report this immediately to the Park Service. Unknown caves could contain fragile ecosystems, archaeological treasures, or hazardous conditions. But the nearest ranger station is hours away, and his satellite phone shows no service in this pocket of the canyon. One quick look. Document the entrance, then report it properly. The hunter switches on his headlamp and steps into the darkness. The temperature drops immediately, a good 10 degrees cooler than the outside air. His light beam cuts through the blackness, revealing a passageway that appears to have been enlarged from a natural formation. 20 feet in, he notices the first anomaly, perfectly straight grooves along the wall, too precise to be natural erosion. His fingers trace the marks, tool marks, human-made. Old, but definitely not ancient. The passage continues downward at a gentle slope for another 50 feet before opening into a larger chamber. The hunter's headlamp cannot penetrate the full dimensions of the space, but the echo of loose gravel beneath his boots suggests significant size. He reaches into his pack for the more powerful flashlight he carries for emergencies. Its beam sweeps the chamber, revealing a space roughly 30 feet in diameter with a ceiling that rises into darkness beyond the light's reach. What stops his breath is not the chamber itself, but what occupies it. Metal containers, dozens of them, arranged in precise rows, each approximately the size of a footlocker, constructed of what appears to be stainless steel with no visible corrosion despite the humid environment. No markings, no identifying features except small digital displays on each, all dark, powerless. The hunter approaches the nearest container, military training from decades past triggering alarm bells in his mind. The containers resemble secure transport cases he'd seen during his brief service, the kind designed to move sensitive materials. The closest container's lid is slightly ajar, just enough to reveal that it isn't empty. He should leave. Report this immediately. Every instinct screams warning. Instead, he carefully pushes the lid open wider with the barrel of his rifle. The interior is lined with a material resembling lead shielding. Nested within custom-cut foam is a cylindrical object approximately 18 inches long, 6 inches in diameter. Made of a material he can't immediately identify, neither metal nor plastic, with a faintly luminous quality even without direct light. The hunter leans closer, noticing strange symbols etched into the cylinder's surface, geometric patterns unlike any language or code he recognizes. A low, electronic hum suddenly emanates from the object. The hunter jerks backward, his boot catching on an uneven section of the cave floor. As he stumbles, his elbow strikes another container, its lid falling completely open. The second container holds what appears to be scientific equipment, handheld devices with digital readouts, sample collection tools, and something resembling a portable spectrometer. But the design is wrong, more compact, more advanced than anything he's encountered. The hunter regains his balance, an uncomfortable realization forming. This isn't a natural cave. This is a storage facility, hidden, deliberate, unauthorized within federal park boundaries. He pulls out his digital camera, documenting everything: the containers, their arrangement, the strange cylinder, the equipment, evidence. The flash illuminates further details, small government markings partially obscured on some equipment. Military classification coding he vaguely recognizes from his service days. A sudden noise from deeper within the cave freezes him in place, a mechanical whirring, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Heavy, methodical, approaching. The hunter extinguishes his light immediately, years of predator avoidance taking over. He slides behind a cluster of containers, controlling his breathing, making himself as small as possible. The footsteps grow louder. A beam of light sweeps the chamber, different from a flashlight, more focused, with a bluish tint. The beam passes over his hiding spot once, twice, then pauses. A voice speaks, male, clipped, professional. Motion sensors triggered in Section 3. Probable wildlife intrusion. Checking now. The hunter remains motionless, mind racing. Motion sensors. Security systems. None of this should exist in a national park. All illegal. All pointing to something beyond simple smuggling or drug operations. The light beam moves away, the footsteps receding toward another passage he hadn't noticed earlier. The moment the sound fades, the hunter moves, quickly, silently, toward the entrance passage. His hunter's instinct screams danger. Whatever he stumbled upon is clearly classified, clearly restricted. The government markings suggest military or intelligence involvement. Areas a civilian has no business investigating alone. He reaches the cave entrance, bursting into the sunlight with a silent prayer of gratitude. Without pausing, he navigates back to the deer trail, no longer concerned with stealth, but with speed. Distance. His truck is 20 minutes away at a normal pace. He'll make it in 10. The hunter's mind catalogs what he's seen: the containers, the strange cylinder, the advanced equipment, the security personnel, all hidden within an unmarked cave in one of the most famous national parks in the country. Reaching his vehicle, he tosses his gear inside and starts the engine. The camera with its digital evidence is secured in his inner pocket. His hands tremble slightly as he navigates the service road back toward the main highway. The local sheriff's office is 45 minutes north. Too small, potentially too connected to whatever operation he's discovered. The regional FBI field office is 3 hours away in Flagstaff. Better option. He reaches for his satellite phone, planning to call ahead but hesitates. What exactly will he report? A secret government facility? Classified materials hidden in the Grand Canyon? He sounds like a conspiracy theorist even to himself. The evidence, the photographs, they validate his discovery. Halfway to the highway, a black SUV appears in his rearview mirror. No markings, government plates, moving fast. The hunter accelerates, gravel spraying beneath his tires. The SUV gains ground effortlessly. His truck rounds a bend, and his foot slams the brake pedal. Two identical black SUVs block the narrow road ahead. Men in tactical gear stand beside them. No visible agency identification, just the universal stance and equipment of federal operators. The hunter's truck skids to a stop. The SUV behind him halts, boxing him in. 4 men approach his vehicle from different angles. Textbook containment procedure. The hunter rolls down his window as a man approaches, mid-50s, suit instead of tactical gear, the unmistakable bearing of authority. "Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle." The man's voice is calm, reasonable. "I'm Special Agent Keller. We need to discuss what you've seen today." The hunter weighs his options, finding none. "I was just hunting. Legal permit." His voice sounds unconvincing even to his own ears. "Sir, we both know that's not entirely accurate. The camera, please." The agent extends his hand. "What you've documented poses significant security concerns." The hunter doesn't move. "Am I under arrest? What agency are you with?" "You're not under arrest. We simply need to secure sensitive information and have a conversation." The agent's expression remains neutral. As for identification, he produces credentials briefly, too quickly to read, but official enough to be legitimate. The hunter considers making a break for it, but the tactical team's positioning eliminates that possibility. Running would only escalate the situation, transform him from witness to fugitive. The camera contains evidence of restricted activities in a national park, the hunter says, still not relinquishing the device. "I believe federal laws are being broken." "Sir, what you discovered is a legitimate government research facility operating under national security protocols." Agent Keller's tone remains conversational. "The unusual location is precisely for security purposes, to keep the research isolated from population centers." The hunter processes this. "Research on what?" "That's classified, as I believe you've already determined. But I assure you, all necessary environmental impact studies and safety protocols are in place." Keller steps closer. "Now we can discuss this further at our field office, where I can address your concerns appropriately." The hunter's options narrow further. Compliance or resistance, with resistance offering no clear advantage. He reaches slowly into his pocket and retrieves the camera. "I have questions," the hunter says, handing over the device. "Of course you do," Keller replies, passing the camera to another agent who immediately removes its memory card. "And I'll answer what I can. But first, I need your silence on this matter. What you've encountered today falls under several national security statutes." The agent returns the camera, now empty of evidence, along with a document. "This is a non-disclosure agreement, standard procedure in cases of accidental exposure to classified operations." The hunter examines the paperwork. Official government letterhead. Legal language threatening severe penalties for disclosure. Spaces for signatures. "And if I refuse?" Agent Keller's expression doesn't change. "Then our conversation becomes much more complicated. Your hunting permits, your firearms licenses, your employment, all would receive unprecedented scrutiny. Not threats, sir, reality." The hunter stares at the document, mind racing through scenarios, outcomes, possibilities. "The facility you discovered is conducting critical research," Keller continues. "Research that could significantly benefit our national interests. Your cooperation ensures that work continues without disruption." The hunter reaches for the pen the agent offers. "The cylinder in the container, the one with the strange markings. What is it?" Keller takes back the signed document, examining it briefly before responding. "That particular item is well above both our pay grades, sir. But I can tell you it's being studied by our best scientists under the strictest safety protocols." The agent steps back from the truck. "You're free to continue your day, though I'd suggest hunting in a different sector, for everyone's peace of mind." The hunter starts his engine, mind still processing the encounter. "Will I be watched now?" Keller offers the first genuine smile of their interaction. "No more than any other American citizen, sir. Follow the NDA, and this incident never happened." The SUVs move aside, clearing the road. The hunter drives past them, glancing in his rearview mirror as they disappear around a bend. He continues toward the highway, hands tight on the steering wheel. The knowledge of what lies hidden within the canyon walls weighs heavy, a secret he now carries without evidence. That evening, in his cabin, the hunter sits at his desk, staring at a blank piece of paper. The pen in his hand hovers indecisively. The NDA prohibits written documentation, digital communication, verbal disclosure. But his memory remains his own. He begins writing, detailing everything he witnessed. The cave, the containers, the strange cylinder, the confrontation. When finished, he seals the pages in an envelope, addresses it to himself, and marks it. "To be opened only in the event of my unexplained death or disappearance." The hunter places the envelope in his safe, behind family documents and his will. Insurance against a future where truth might matter more than security or secrecy. Outside his window, the night sky stretches vast above the canyon lands. Somewhere in that darkness, beneath the ancient rocks, something unknown to the public continues to exist. Studied, contained, hidden from sight. The hunter turns away from the window, unable to shake the memory of that strange cylinder with its faintly luminous surface and incomprehensible markings. For the first time in decades, the wilderness he thought he knew feels alien, unfamiliar, a landscape harboring secrets beyond his understanding. He checks his phone. No unusual calls. No surveillance vehicles visible through the windows. Perhaps Keller had been truthful about not watching him, or perhaps they're simply better at concealment than he is at detection. Tomorrow he'll return to his normal routines, continue his life as if nothing happened, honor the agreement he signed under duress. But tonight, sleep eludes him. His mind replays the image of that strange cylinder, the sound of those methodical footsteps in the darkness, and the casual way Agent Keller had dismissed his questions. Whatever lies hidden in the Grand Canyon, whatever screamed in terror upon its discovery, remains there still, protected by secrecy, authority, and now, his forced silence. The hunter wakes before dawn, his sleep shallow and disturbed. 3 days have passed since the encounter at the canyon, each night filled with fractured dreams of steel containers and strange symbols. He moves through his morning routine mechanically, the weight of the secret pressing against his thoughts like a physical burden. The signed non-disclosure agreement sits in his desk drawer, its legal language clear: speak of what he saw to anyone, and consequences would follow. But the document couldn't erase his memory or his curiosity. Coffee in hand, he opens his laptop, careful to use the public library's Wi-Fi rather than his home connection. His searches are deliberately vague: Grand Canyon geological anomalies, unexplained Grand Canyon phenomena, restricted areas national parks. The results offer nothing substantive, just tourist information and natural history. He switches tactics, searching for government research facilities in Arizona. Dozens appear, all publicly acknowledged: military testing grounds, environmental monitoring stations, weather research centers, nothing matching what he witnessed. The hunter closes his laptop, considering his options. Digital research is too easily tracked. Older records, physical archives, those might reveal something overlooked in the digital age. By mid-morning, he parks outside the county's Historical Society building, a modest sandstone structure housing regional archives dating back to territorial days. The facility serves researchers, genealogists, and historians studying the area's rich past. The archivist, a woman in her 60s with silver-rimmed glasses and methodical movements, looks up from her cataloging as he enters. "Research or genealogy?" she asks, her tone suggesting these are the only two reasons anyone visits. "Research," the hunter replies. "I'm interested in unusual geological features or restricted areas in the canyon, particularly on the northern rim. Historical surveys, maybe old newspaper accounts." The archivist studies him briefly. "Time frame?" "As far back as possible, but especially mid-20th century to present." She nods, directing him to a research station while retrieving several large binders of newspaper clippings and survey maps. These are organized chronologically. Geological surveys are in the blue binders. Local newspaper archives go back to 1925. The hunter thanks her, settling into the meticulous work of historical research. Hours pass as he sifts through documents: geological surveys noting cave systems, newspaper accounts of unusual discoveries, topographical maps from different eras. Late in the afternoon, his attention fixes on a newspaper from 1962, a small article noting the temporary closure of a section of the northern rim for military training exercises. The location matches the approximate area of his discovery. He photographs the article with his phone, continuing his search through subsequent years. Similar notices appear sporadically through the 1960s, then abruptly stop in 1971. Another document catches his eye: a geological survey from 1973 reclassifying certain canyon areas as unsuitable for public access due to structural instability. The terminology seems standard, but the timing following those military exercises raises questions. The hunter requests access to regional aerial photography. The archivist retrieves several large folders containing aerial survey photographs from various decades. Most show only the natural contours of the canyon, but a series from 1967 reveals something interesting: a small cluster of temporary structures near his discovery site, and what appears to be a service road that doesn't exist on modern maps. "Find what you need?" the archivist approaches as closing time nears. "Maybe. Do you have anything on government operations or research facilities in the region? 1960s through 1970s, specifically." She hesitates, then lowers her voice. "You might want to check the vertical files, local histories that didn't make the official records. People around here have stories." She retrieves a battered filing cabinet drawer filled with manila folders, particularly this one. She pulls a folder labeled Regional Development, Miscellaneous Projects, 1950-1980. Inside, the hunter finds collected letters, unofficial memos, and local accounts. One document stands out: a typed letter from a former Park Service employee to the regional newspaper editor, never published. It details unusual activities in 1969, unmarked vehicles, equipment deliveries at night, personnel with military bearing but no uniforms. The letter's final paragraph reads, "Whatever operation they're conducting in the restricted zone, it exceeds their stated geological survey mandate. Multiple security checkpoints prevent access, and my inquiries to supervisors were met with warnings to focus on my assigned duties." The hunter photographs this letter as well, finding several similar accounts in the file, all unofficial, all documenting aspects of what appeared to be a covert operation within public lands. "There's one more person you might want to talk to," the archivist says quietly as he prepares to leave. "The retired ranger who lives out by Juniper Creek. He worked the Northern Rim for 30 years until 2005. If anyone knows what happened out there, it's him." The hunter thanks her for the suggestion, driving directly to the location described. The retired ranger's home sits at the end of a dirt road, a modest cabin with a covered porch and a workshop behind it. A man in his 70s, still physically imposing despite his age, looks up from splitting firewood as the hunter approaches. Introductions remain professional, functional. No names exchanged, just backgrounds. The hunter mentions his research at the Historical Society without revealing his discovery. The retired ranger invites him inside, offering coffee. His living room walls display photographs documenting a long career in the Park Service, none showing the man's face clearly, as if deliberately avoiding identification. "So you're curious about the North Rim operations," the retired ranger says, not a question but a statement. "Most folks who dig into that find reasons to stop digging. I'm interested in unusual geological features that might have attracted government attention," the hunter replies carefully, "particularly around 1962 through the early 1970s. The retired ranger studies him, then walks to a bookshelf, removing a false panel to reveal a locked metal box. "Took these my final year before retirement. Been keeping them safe ever since." Inside the box lies a small collection of photographs and hand-drawn maps. One photo shows a concrete structure embedded in the canyon wall, camouflaged but visible to someone who knew what to look for. Another shows vehicles similar to those the hunter encountered. "They called it Copper Creek Research Station in official communications," the retired ranger explains. "Established 1962 as a geological monitoring facility. That was the cover story. Reality was something else entirely." He points to one of the maps. 7 access points built into the canyon walls. Most park personnel weren't allowed anywhere near them. Those who asked questions got transferred or forced into early retirement. "What were they researching?" the hunter asks. The retired ranger shrugs. "Never knew for certain. Rumors circulated. Everything from weapons testing to meteorological experiments. What I do know is they went deep, tunneled into areas of the canyon that were supposed to be geologically solid according to all surveys." He shows another photograph, heavy equipment being lowered by helicopter into a canyon section. This was 68 or 69, major expansion of whatever facility they'd built. After that, surface activity decreased, but never stopped completely. "The facility is still active." The hunter tries to keep his tone casual. "Far as I know, changed hands over the decades. Army Corps of Engineers initially, then some agency without clear identification. Security protocols evolved, more electronic surveillance, fewer visible personnel." The retired ranger replaces the materials in the metal box. "Why the interest? Academic?" "Professional curiosity," the hunter replies. "Found some unusual formations during a recent expedition." "Word of advice," the retired ranger says, locking the box. "The canyon keeps its secrets for good reason. Some things aren't meant to be uncovered." The hunter thanks him for his time, declining an invitation to stay for dinner. As he leaves, the retired ranger calls after him. "Whatever you saw out there might be best to forget it." That night, the hunter transfers all his photographs and notes to an encrypted external drive, reviewing everything he's gathered. The historical documents confirm sustained government activity in his discovery area for over 60 years, while the retired ranger's materials suggest an extensive facility hidden within the canyon walls. The question remains, what were they studying? What justified such secrecy and continued operation? He falls asleep at his desk, waking at first light with renewed determination. If answers exist, they'll be found at the source, the cave itself. The hunter prepares more thoroughly this time. His pack contains advanced recording equipment, a better camera with night vision capability, extended battery supplies, and emergency rations. He dresses in full camouflage, though not hunting attire, darker patterns designed for night operations. He parks his truck at a different access point, miles from his previous entry. The hike will be longer but should avoid established surveillance. He navigates using topographical maps rather than GPS, leaving no digital trail. By late afternoon, he approaches the canyon section containing the hidden entrance, circling wide to observe from multiple vantage points. No vehicles visible, no obvious security personnel. He settles into a concealed position, watching as daylight fades, scanning systematically for cameras or motion sensors. Dusk provides ideal cover for his approach. Moving in short bursts with long pauses, the hunter reaches the crevice leading to the cave entrance without incident. The opening appears undisturbed since his last visit, vegetation still showing signs of his previous passage. He slips through the narrow gap, every sense heightened. The cave entrance beyond remains as he remembered, a perfect arch cutting into the rock face. He checks his equipment one final time before proceeding, activating both standard and infrared cameras. The passageway feels different this time, his awareness of its artificial nature making each step more deliberate. The smooth-cut walls with their tool marks now register as clear evidence of extensive human modification. The hunter pauses at the chamber entrance, surveying carefully before proceeding. The metal containers remain arranged in their precise rows, undisturbed. No personnel visible. No sounds, except the faint electronic hum he'd noticed previously. He documents everything methodically. The containers, their arrangement, the dimensions of the chamber. His infrared camera reveals something new, subtle temperature variations in the chamber walls, suggesting spaces or mechanisms behind them. The container with the strange cylinder remains partially open, exactly as he left it. He approaches cautiously, recording detailed footage of the object without touching anything. The symbols etched into its surface seem to shift slightly under direct light, an optical illusion he assumes, caused by their unusual patterning. He locates the secondary passage mentioned by the security personnel during his previous visit, a corridor leading deeper into the facility. The hunter weighs his options. Continuing means greater risk, but potentially greater answers. The decision makes itself when distant voices echo from the new passage. Personnel approaching. The hunter retreats behind the containers, activating his night vision camera and switching off his flashlight. Two figures enter the chamber, technicians judging by their white lab coats and equipment cases. They move with the confidence of routine, checking several containers and making notes on tablets. Latest readings show increased activity, one says, voice echoing slightly in the chamber. Third time this month the signature has amplified without apparent cause. Same pattern as before? The second technician asks, opening a container the hunter hadn't examined. Consistent with the 97 and 08 events. Localized energy spikes, then gradual return to baseline. They continue working, unaware of the hunter's presence. Their conversation reveals little concrete information, but confirms ongoing research involving energy readings from the stored materials. After 15 minutes, they depart through the main passage rather than the secondary corridor. The hunter waits until their footsteps fade completely before emerging from hiding. He approaches the container they'd opened, finding another cylindrical object similar to the first, but with different surface markings. His camera captures everything before he retreats to examine the rest of the chamber. Along one wall, partially concealed behind several containers, he discovers an electronic panel, a modern security system requiring keycard access. Beyond it appears to be another chamber, potentially larger than the first. The hunter records footage of the panel without attempting to bypass it. His goal remains documentation, not infiltration. As he completes his survey of the main chamber, his attention returns to the secondary passage. The technician's conversation suggested additional research areas beyond this storage room. The risk is substantial, but the potential information. A sudden mechanical whir freezes him in place. A security camera above the secondary passage activating, its lens focusing directly on him. The hunter reacts instantly, rushing toward the main passage. An alarm sounds, high-pitched, pulsing, as he sprints through the tunnel toward the exit. Behind him, heavy security doors begin to descend from recesses in the ceiling, threatening to seal the facility. He slides beneath the final door with seconds to spare, scrambling toward the cave entrance. Daylight beckons beyond the crevice as footsteps pound the tunnel behind him. The hunter bursts from the crevice into the open canyon, immediately veering off the established path into dense underbrush. His camouflage and knowledge of the terrain provide temporary advantage as he puts distance between himself and the facility. Radio chatter echoes behind him, security personnel coordinating a search pattern. The hunter moves perpendicular to their likely approach, using natural features for concealment. An hour of evasive maneuvering brings him to a ridgeline overlooking the search area. Multiple teams in tactical gear systematically sweep the terrain, supported by what appears to be infrared equipment. The hunter continues his retreat, using every skill acquired through decades in these canyons. By nightfall, he's miles from the facility with no signs of pursuit. Rather than return to his vehicle, likely compromised, he continues cross-country toward a small settlement where public transportation might be available. He reaches the town by midnight, catching the last bus to the larger regional center. From there, a rental car under a professional pseudonym provides transportation back to his cabin. The hunter enters cautiously, scanning for signs of intrusion. Everything appears undisturbed, but appearances mean little against professionals. He transfers his collected footage and images to additional storage devices, creating multiple backups before reviewing what he's captured. The footage exceeds his expectations. Clear documentation of the facility, the strange containers, the cylindrical objects with their unusual markings, and most importantly, the technician's conversation about energy signatures and previous events. The hunter prepares packages containing copies of everything: historical documents, the retired ranger's information, and his own footage. Each package is addressed to different recipients: a national newspaper known for investigative journalism, a congressional oversight committee, and a renowned physics professor whose work on unexplained phenomena he'd researched. Before he can dispatch the packages, his satellite phone rings, unexpected at this hour. The hunter answers cautiously. "We need to talk." Agent Keller's voice, calm but urgent. "Your second visit triggered protocols beyond my authority. You're now classified as a security risk." The hunter says nothing, mind racing through options. "They're coming for you," Keller continues. "Not my team. Another division with fewer constraints. You have perhaps an hour." "Why the warning?" the hunter asks, already gathering essential supplies. "Because what's happening at that facility deserves oversight it's not getting. I've been monitoring the operation for years, documenting inconsistencies." The hunter processes this unexpected alliance. "The cylindrical objects, what are they?" "Not what everyone thinks," Keller replies cryptically. "The official classification calls them geological anomalies of unknown origin, discovered during initial canyon surveys in the 1940s, but they're not natural formations. Man-made? Not by any known civilization. The technology is..." Keller hesitates. "Beyond current scientific understanding. Energy signatures unlike anything in our classification system." The hunter recalls the technician's conversation about increased activity. They're changing? Responding to something. The research team doesn't understand the mechanism, just documents the effects. That's what makes this dangerous. They're studying technology they don't comprehend. The sound of vehicles approaching ends their conversation. "East Service Road, 2 miles past the creek junction," Keller says quickly. "1 hour. I'm bringing evidence you'll need." The hunter grabs his prepared packages, essential survival gear, and the encrypted drive containing all his documentation. Whatever awaits at the rendezvous, the truth about the canyon facility must survive. He slips into the night as headlights illuminate his driveway. Black SUVs, identical to those from his first encounter but with different tactical teams deploying. Their movements suggest a capture operation rather than simple intimidation. The hunter melts into the familiar wilderness, decades of experience guiding his evasion route. The packages remain secure against his chest, physical evidence of whatever secret lies buried within the Grand Canyon's ancient walls. Behind him, the tactical team enters his empty cabin, finding nothing but a note on the kitchen table. The truth won't stay buried forever. Ahead lies uncertainty. A clandestine meeting with an agent whose allegiance remains unclear, pursuers with unknown authority, and evidence of something that defies conventional understanding. The hunter moves silently through the darkness, his mind returning to those strange cylinders with their shifting symbols and the impossible implication of their origin. Whatever he's stumbled upon extends beyond government secrecy into realms that challenge the very foundations of human knowledge. For the first time in his life, the hunter understands true fear, not of those pursuing him, but of the reality those cylinders represent. A reality that might explain why someone entering that hidden cave would scream in terror upon understanding what they'd found. The hunter reaches the rendezvous point 15 minutes early, establishing a concealed observation position overlooking the service road. His breath forms small clouds in the pre-dawn chill as he scans the area for signs of surveillance or ambush. The packages of evidence remain secure in his waterproof backpack, along with emergency supplies for extended wilderness survival if necessary. Before leaving his cabin, he'd taken crucial precautions. A sealed envelope addressed to his cousin, a state wildlife officer, contains detailed accounts of everything he's witnessed, along with coordinates and access instructions for a remote storage locker containing duplicate evidence. A brief video recorded on an old camcorder, deliberately non-digital, harder to track, provides verbal testimony should something happen to him. "If you're watching this," he'd said to the camera, "it means I haven't returned. What I've discovered in the canyon requires investigation by proper authorities, not the ones hiding it." His satellite phone, disabled and battery removed, rests in his pocket, too easily tracked but potentially necessary for emergency communication. Instead, he'd activated an old shortwave radio to monitor emergency frequencies and potential tactical communications. The hunter checks his watch. 3 minutes until the arranged meeting time. No sign of Agent Keller or the promised evidence. No sign of pursuit either. But that offers little comfort. Professional tracking teams wouldn't announce their presence. Headlights appear in the distance, a single vehicle approaching at moderate speed. The hunter remains motionless, watching through night vision binoculars as a dark sedan pulls to a stop at the designated location. A lone figure exits, Agent Keller carrying a leather briefcase. He stands beside the vehicle, scanning the surroundings with practiced efficiency. The hunter weighs his options. Keller had warned him about the pursuit team, potentially saving his life. But intelligence operatives played complex games, and trust remained a luxury he couldn't afford. He activates a small recording device before leaving his concealment, approaching with deliberate noise to avoid startling the agent. Keller turns toward the sound, posture relaxing slightly upon recognition. "You made good time," Keller says, checking his watch. "Limited options tend to focus the mind," the hunter replies, maintaining distance. "You mentioned evidence." Keller places the briefcase on the hood of his car, opening it to reveal organized files and a sealed metal container approximately the size of a paperback book. 30 years of surveillance on Project Resonance. That's the official designation for the Canyon facility. Surveillance by whom? The hunter remains cautious, studying Keller's body language for deception. A congressional oversight group established after certain incidents in the late 1980s. I've been their field operative for the past 12 years. Keller removes a credential wallet different from the one he'd shown previously, displaying identification linking him to a Senate Intelligence Committee. The hunter examines the credentials carefully. They appear authentic, though such things could be fabricated. Why expose this now? Because they've lost control of the technology, Keller says, retrieving a file from the briefcase. The energy signatures from those cylinders you discovered, they're increasing exponentially, similar to patterns observed before the 1994 incident. What happened in 1994? Keller hands him several photographs, official documentation of what appears to be a catastrophic structural failure within a research facility. Equipment destroyed, sections of reinforced walls shattered outward, as if from massive internal pressure. 8 researchers killed. Official report cited equipment malfunction. Reality was something else entirely. Keller taps one photograph showing a damaged cylindrical object similar to those the hunter had documented. They call them artifacts now. Officially non-terrestrial technology of unknown origin. The hunter processes this information, connecting it with the technician's conversation he'd overheard. They don't understand what they're studying. Worse, they understand just enough to be dangerous. Keller checks his watch again. My team tracked your initial discovery, arranged our accidental meeting. We've been monitoring the situation, waiting for evidence substantial enough to force official acknowledgement and proper oversight. And my second visit provided that evidence, the hunter concludes. Your footage confirms what our limited access couldn't. They've expanded operations significantly, far beyond authorized parameters. Keller gestures toward the metal container. This contains what we believe is a fragment of one of the artifacts, recovered after the '94 incident. Our independent researchers have confirmed it exhibits properties inconsistent with known materials. A distant sound interrupts their conversation. Helicopter rotors, approaching fast. Keller tenses, scanning the sky. That's not my backup. We need to move. Now. The hunter hesitates only briefly before gathering the evidence. 2 miles east, there's a maintenance access road leading to an abandoned ranger station. My vehicle is hidden there. They move quickly into the tree line as aircraft searchlights sweep the road behind them. The hunter leads, navigating by memory and starlight through familiar terrain. Keller follows, surprisingly adept for someone in formal attire, briefcase clutched tightly. The team pursuing you isn't standard security, Keller explains between controlled breaths. They're part of a specialized division that handles containment of information regarding the artifacts. They operate without oversight, even from within the agency. How many artifacts have been discovered? The hunter maintains pace while processing this information. 17 confirmed. The Grand Canyon facility houses the largest concentration. 9, including the 2 you documented. Others are stored at separate facilities across the country. They reach a ridge overlooking the abandoned ranger station, a small wooden structure reclaimed by nature, its purpose long forgotten by the park administration. The hunter's truck sits concealed beneath a camouflage tarp between weathered maintenance equipment. We need to split up, Keller says, retrieving something from his pocket, a small digital storage device. This contains access codes to a secure server with additional documentation. Combined with your footage, it provides irrefutable evidence of unauthorized operations. The hunter accepts the device, adding it to his collection of evidence. Where do we meet? We don't. My official position is compromised the moment I miss my scheduled communication. Keller hands him a sealed envelope. This contact, a journalist with the appropriate security clearances, can facilitate congressional review without triggering immediate containment protocols. The sound of vehicles approaching forces their separation. Keller disappears into the underbrush, heading north while the hunter removes the camouflage covering and starts his truck. The timing proves fortunate. He clears the access road moments before tactical vehicles converge on the abandoned station. The hunter drives with methodical care rather than panic-induced speed, taking secondary roads toward the interstate highway. His destination, the Metropolitan Center, 3 hours east, offers both anonymity and crucial access to media contacts. Dawn breaks as he approaches the city outskirts, the eastern sky painted in colors remarkably similar to those he'd observed days earlier in the canyon. Before entering the urban environment, he stops at a roadside motel, paying cash for a room where he can organize the accumulated evidence and prepare for the next phase. The room provides temporary security as he reviews everything, his own footage and photographs, the historical documents, Keller's files, and the sealed metal container. The latter draws his attention most intensely. With careful precision, he opens the container, revealing a fragment approximately 3 inches long, curved as if broken from one of the cylindrical artifacts. Its surface bears the same unusual markings he'd documented, but witnessing them directly rather than through camera footage reveals something camera technology couldn't capture. The markings seem to shift slightly, not through movement but through some quality that affects perception itself. Viewing the fragment from different angles reveals patterns impossible in 3-dimensional space, geometric configurations that appear to extend beyond physical limitations. More disturbing is the fragment's temperature, noticeably cooler than the surrounding air despite being sealed in a metal container for hours. When placed on the table, it leaves no condensation despite this temperature differential. It defies fundamental physical properties. The hunter doesn't touch it directly, using a pen to manipulate its position while photographing it from multiple angles. Whatever this material represents, it clearly justifies Keller's assertion of non-terrestrial technology. By mid-morning, He's organized everything into comprehensive documentation, digital files, printed photographs, and written testimony. 3 identical packages, each containing complete evidence sets, represent his insurance policy against interception or confiscation. The hunter enters the city by public transportation, leaving his truck parked at a suburban shopping center. Urban anonymity provides temporary protection as he navigates to his first destination, the regional bureau office of a national news organization known for investigative journalism. The journalist waiting in the coffee shop across from the bureau matches Keller's description: mid-50s, professional attire that suggests capability rather than fashion, observant eyes constantly scanning surroundings. The hunter approaches directly, sitting at the indicated table without introduction. "I understand you're interested in federal land management practices," the journalist says, the verification phrase specified in Keller's note. The hunter responds with the appropriate counter-phrase, confirming his identity, particularly regarding restricted access areas within national parks. The journalist nods almost imperceptibly, signaling a waitress for additional coffee. "You have documentation regarding these concerns?" The hunter places a sealed envelope on the table. "Comprehensive, including material evidence that validates everything." Material evidence? The journalist's professional demeanor cracks slightly, revealing genuine curiosity. A fragment of what they're studying, properties inconsistent with terrestrial materials. The journalist doesn't touch the envelope yet. "You understand the implications of what you're alleging? Unauthorized government research facilities, classified technology of potentially non-terrestrial origin, systematic information suppression. I've seen it firsthand." The hunter maintains steady eye contact. "Documented everything. Multiple copies exist with instructions for distribution if anything happens to me." "Agent Keller vouched for you," the journalist acknowledges. His position provides certain credibility. But this goes beyond typical governmental overreach stories, which is why traditional oversight has failed. The congressional committee tasked with monitoring the program has been systematically misled about the scope and nature of the research. The journalist finally takes the envelope, securing it in an inner pocket. Verification will take time. Sources must be protected, especially with operations capable of the kind of containment you've described. "Time is precisely what we lack," the hunter counters. According to Keller's documentation, the energy signatures from these artifacts are increasing dramatically. Similar patterns preceded a fatal incident in 1994. The conversation continues for another 30 minutes, the hunter providing detailed context while the journalist asks increasingly specific questions. Throughout, both maintain awareness of their surroundings, noting anyone showing undue interest in their meeting. They part ways with a contingency plan. 3 additional contact methods if primary communication becomes compromised. The journalist heads back to the bureau office while the hunter proceeds to his second destination, a law office specializing in government accountability cases. By late afternoon, all 3 evidence packages have been delivered to separate recipients: the journalist, the attorney, and a physics professor at the state university whose research focuses on theoretical materials science. The distribution ensures no single point of failure can suppress the information. The hunter checks into a different hotel under an assumed identity, paid in cash. From this temporary sanctuary, he monitors news channels and online publications, waiting for the first signs that the evidence is being processed. Nothing appears that evening or the following morning. By afternoon, his patience wanes, until breaking news interrupts regular broadcasting. The first reports are vague. Federal authorities investigating allegations of unauthorized research facilities within Grand Canyon National Park. Camera footage shows tactical teams securing access points along the northern rim, including areas near his discovery site. By evening, the coverage intensifies. The journalist he'd met appears on a national broadcast, carefully outlining allegations supported by substantial evidence from multiple credible sources. Phrases like potentially revolutionary technology and serious oversight failures dominate the coverage. Aerial footage captured by news helicopters shows extensive activity around the canyon. Mobile command centers, scientific teams in specialized protective equipment, and security perimeters extending for miles. The hunter watches from his hotel room as the story expands hourly. Senior congressional representatives issue statements demanding investigation. Scientific experts speculate about the nature of the unidentified materials reportedly recovered from the site. Government spokespersons neither confirm nor deny specific allegations, citing national security protocols. By the third day, international news organizations have joined the coverage. The story has evolved from alleged government overreach to something far more significant: credible evidence of technology inconsistent with known scientific principles and potentially of non-terrestrial origin. The physics professor, analyzing the fragment publicly while carefully avoiding specifics that might compromise national security, describes properties that fundamentally challenge our understanding of materials science. The hunter checks out of the hotel, driving to an observation point miles from the canyon, but offering a distant view of the ongoing operations. Through binoculars, he watches the mobilization of what appears to be a joint task force: scientific personnel, military logistics support, and what can only be described as containment architecture being assembled around the hidden facility. His satellite phone, reactivated briefly, receives a single message from an unidentified number. Congressional oversight established, full accounting initiated. K. The hunter deletes the message immediately. His role has concluded. The secrets hidden within the canyon's ancient walls have emerged into public awareness. Not fully, perhaps never fully, but enough to ensure proper oversight and scientific protocols. As the sun sets over the canyon, casting long shadows reminiscent of his first discovery days earlier, the hunter considers the fundamental question that remains unanswered. What are these artifacts? What civilization created technology beyond current human understanding, and for what purpose? The fragment's strange properties and the energy signatures mentioned in Keller's documentation suggest capabilities beyond contemporary science, potentially dangerous if misunderstood or misused. He recalls the cylinder's markings, geometric patterns that seem to extend beyond three-dimensional space, symbols that shifted perception rather than merely reflecting light. Whatever these artifacts represent, they're clearly not human technology, at least not from any recognized historical civilization. The hunter starts his engine, turning away from the canyon and the massive operation now unfolding there. His testimony has been recorded, his evidence distributed, his responsibility fulfilled. The truth, whatever it ultimately proves to be, has emerged from decades of secrecy into the light of public accountability. As he drives toward the highway, radio stations continuously update the unfolding story. Scientific experts debate possibilities ranging from ancient advanced civilizations to extraterrestrial visitation. Government officials promise transparent investigation while emphasizing national security concerns. The public demands answers about operations conducted without oversight on federal lands. The hunter listens without comment. His personal understanding, shaped by direct observation of the artifacts and their impossible properties, exceeds what either officials or experts have yet acknowledged publicly. The cylindrical objects with their shifting symbols represent something beyond human experience, something that might fundamentally change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Perhaps that explains the scream of terror mentioned in early reports. The visceral human reaction to confronting evidence that we are neither alone, nor perhaps even the most advanced intelligence to have influenced Earth's history. The highway stretches before him as darkness falls completely. In his rearview mirror, the distant lights of the canyon operation create an artificial dawn against the night sky, illuminating what was hidden, exposing what was buried, revealing what some believed should remain forever secret. The hunter drives onward, leaving the Grand Canyon and its ancient secrets behind. Whatever emerges from the congressional investigations and scientific analysis, one truth remains certain: the world awakening tomorrow will understand reality differently than the world that slept yesterday. And in that transformation of understanding lies both profound opportunity and fundamental danger, the dual nature of all significant discoveries throughout human history. The morning fog hangs heavy over the canyon rim, shrouding the landscape in a ghostly stillness reminiscent of that first morning 3 months earlier. The hunter stands at the edge of a viewing platform, watching as the rising sun gradually burns away the mist, revealing the vastness below. The canyon remains unchanged in its ancient grandeur, yet everything else has transformed. Television screens in the visitor center behind him broadcast continuous updates on what media outlets have dubbed the Canyon Revelation. Congressional hearings enter their 11th week, testimony from researchers and security personnel painting an increasingly detailed picture of the operation that had remained hidden for decades. The hunter watches a senior intelligence official face intense questioning, admitting under oath that 17 artifacts of indeterminate origin had been recovered from various locations worldwide since 1947. 9 were stored within the Grand Canyon facility, selected for its remote location and geological stability. The research program, operating under multiple code names over decades, had systematically evaded oversight through departmental transfers and compartmentalized security protocols. More disturbing are the revelations about containment procedures, systematic intimidation of witnesses, career destruction for whistleblowers, and in at least 3 documented cases, individuals who had disappeared after threatening to expose the program. The families of these missing persons sit in the hearing room each day, photographs of their loved ones displayed as silent testimony. The special prosecutor, appointed by unanimous congressional approval, outlines criminal charges against 27 individuals connected to the program: obstruction of justice, abuse of authority, misappropriation of federal resources, and in the most serious cases, kidnapping and suspected homicide. Former Agent Keller, now under witness protection, provides damning testimony about the oversight failures and deliberate misinformation provided to congressional committees. His documentation, combined with the hunter's evidence, forms the foundation of the prosecution's case. Scientific panels convene simultaneously, examining the artifacts under international observation. The preliminary consensus validates what the hunter witnessed firsthand. The technology exhibits properties inconsistent with known materials science, utilizing principles beyond current scientific understanding. The fragment he provided undergoes continuous analysis at a specialized laboratory constructed specifically for this purpose. Research papers carefully navigating national security restrictions describe non-standard spatial properties and energy signatures inconsistent with terrestrial technology. More contentious is the debate about origin. Theories range from undiscovered ancient terrestrial civilizations to extraterrestrial visitors, with a growing minority position suggesting interdimensional sources. The only certainty is uncertainty. The artifacts represent a profound challenge to humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The hunter turns away from the screens, stepping outside to the observation deck where tourists gather in unprecedented numbers. The canyon has become the focal point of a modern pilgrimage, people drawn by the combination of natural wonder and profound mystery. Local communities that once survived on seasonal tourism now experience year-round economic transformation. Native American tribal representatives have come forward with oral histories suggesting ancient awareness of sky objects and vessels not of human creation, discovered within the canyon's depths. These accounts, previously dismissed as mythology, now receive serious scholarly attention, researchers noting correlations between described locations and confirmed recovery sites. International reaction ranges from diplomatic concerns about unilateral American possession of potentially transformative technology to calls for unified global research protocols. The United Nations has established a specialized committee to develop governance frameworks for technology of indeterminate origin, while religious institutions worldwide issue statements reconciling traditional doctrines with implications of non-human intelligence. The hunter observes this unfolding global conversation with detached interest. His role, discovering, documenting, exposing, has concluded. The machinery of investigation, prosecution, and scientific inquiry now advances without him, exactly as he'd intended. A convoy of official vehicles approaches the visitor center, the Federal Oversight Committee conducting its monthly inspection of the now secured facility. The site has transformed from hidden research station to the most monitored location in the federal system, with transparent civilian oversight and continuous scientific presence. The hunter watches the procession from a distance. His testimony had been provided weeks earlier, detailed accounts of both discoveries, the confrontation with security personnel, his collection of historical evidence, and collaboration with Keller. The congressional committee had listened with rapt attention, particularly to his description of the artifact's unusual properties. "You've done this country a service beyond measure," the committee chairperson had told him afterward, exposing not just the artifacts, but the systematic failure of oversight that allowed such discoveries to remain hidden from proper scientific and public attention. Now, as the oversight delegation disappears into a restricted area, the hunter contemplates the double-edged nature of his actions. The truth has emerged, accountability follows, but so does a fundamental disruption to humanity's understanding of itself, a philosophical earthquake whose aftershocks will continue for generations. His satellite phone vibrates, a message from the congressional liaison confirming tomorrow's ceremony. The hunter sighs, uncomfortable with the formal recognition, but understanding its symbolic necessity. Public accountability requires public acknowledgement of those who enforce it. The following morning finds him in the state capitol, wearing an unaccustomed suit as he waits in an anteroom adjacent to the governor's ceremonial office. The other honorees, the journalist who published the initial exposé, the attorney who navigated classification challenges, and the physics professor whose analysis verified the artifact's anomalous properties, engage in quiet conversation. The hunter remains apart, studying the historical photographs lining the walls. Previous ceremonies, previous heroes, previous moments when truth overcame concealment. Cycles repeating throughout human history. The ceremony itself passes in a blur of formal speeches, proclamations, and carefully worded acknowledgments of service to transparency and scientific advancement. The hunter accepts his commendation with minimal words, directing attention instead to the families of those who had disappeared investigating the same facility years earlier. They paid the ultimate price for asking questions someone didn't want answered, he says, his only public statement. This recognition belongs to them. Afterward, declining media interviews, he stands alone on the Capitol building steps. The journalist approaches, offering congratulations and an update on the international scientific consortium forming around artifact research. They're establishing protocols for information sharing that transcend national boundaries, she explains. The artifacts are forcing cooperation unlike anything we've seen before. And the energy signature fluctuations? The hunter asks. Keller's documentation suggested increasing instability. Stabilized since relocation to the new containment facility, she confirms. The leading theory suggests the fluctuations resulted from improper storage rather than inherent properties. They discuss other developments. The international archaeological expedition preparing to investigate deeper canyon systems, the declassification process for historical documentation, the upcoming public exhibition featuring non-sensitive research findings. You could write a book, the journalist suggests. Your first-hand account would provide context the official reports lack. The hunter shakes his head. My part is finished. Better to let the scientists and historians document what happens next. They part ways with mutual respect, the journalist returning to her ongoing investigation while the hunter begins his journey home. Back to the cabin, the familiar wilderness, the life interrupted by extraordinary discovery. Weeks pass. Spring transitions to summer. The hunter resumes his conservation work, now focusing on wildlife management rather than hunting. His perspective has shifted, less interested in traditional pursuits, more concerned with preservation and balance. The media attention gradually fades, focusing on the scientific implications rather than the individuals involved. This suits the hunter perfectly. His preference has always been anonymity, significance through action rather than recognition. His home remains unchanged except for one addition, a small, high-resolution photograph of the artifact fragment mounted beside his fireplace. A reminder of perspective, of humility, of humanity's place within a potentially much larger cosmic context. Occasionally, researchers or officials contact him with follow-up questions about his observations. He answers with precision and brevity, then returns to his increasingly solitary existence. Former colleagues note the change, a man already private becoming more introspective, more contemplative. Late summer brings an official communication, an invitation to witness the opening of the new research facility built adjacent to the original discovery site. The hunter considers declining, but something draws him back. A need for closure, perhaps, or simple curiosity about what has replaced the clandestine operation he exposed. The facility bears no resemblance to the hidden cave system he discovered. Modern architecture of glass and steel rises from the canyon rim, designed for transparency both literal and figurative. Public viewing areas allow visitors to observe researchers working with non-sensitive materials, while educational displays explain what can be shared about the artifact's properties and potential. The hunter tours the facility with other invited dignitaries, listening as scientists describe new understanding of the artifact's composition and behavior. The research director, a renowned physicist with security clearance, explains their revised theory. We now believe these objects utilize principles that operate across multiple dimensional planes simultaneously, she says. The unusual geometric properties you documented represent physical manifestations of mathematical principles beyond conventional three-dimensional space. The tour concludes at a memorial wall honoring those who had investigated the artifacts throughout history, from the initial discovery team in the 1940s to more recent researchers, including those who disappeared maintaining secrecy. The hunter studies the plaque noting his contribution, uncomfortable with his inclusion among those who had given far more. After the formal proceedings, he requests permission to visit the original cave entrance, now secured but preserved for historical documentation. A young ranger accompanies him, providing unnecessary commentary about a site the hunter knows more intimately than anyone living. Standing before the narrow crevice that had changed everything, the hunter experiences a profound sense of completion. The secret has emerged, the truth acknowledged, the consequences unfolding according to humanity's collective decisions rather than concealed authority, yet something remains unresolved. The fundamental question persists: what civilization created technology beyond current human understanding, and for what purpose? The artifact's origin, whether ancient terrestrial civilization, extraterrestrial visitors, or something more exotic, remains unproven, perhaps unprovable with current scientific methods. The hunter thanks his guide and departs, driving to a remote overlook he'd discovered years earlier. From this vantage point, both the new research facility and the original cave system location are visible, past and present, secrecy and transparency, question and partial answer. As sunset approaches, he removes a small stone from his pocket, a fragment of the cave entrance collected during his first visit. Nothing special or significant, just ordinary canyon rock, yet somehow transformed by association with extraordinary discovery. He holds it briefly before returning it to his pocket rather than casting it into the canyon. Some connections, once formed, deserve preservation rather than severance. The hunter watches darkness claim the canyon, stars emerging in the clear desert sky. Somewhere among those countless points of light might exist the answer to what he discovered, the origin of technology that defies current scientific understanding, created by intelligence humanity has yet to comprehend. The possibility should terrify him, perhaps, yet he feels an unexpected serenity. The universe has always contained mysteries beyond human comprehension. The artifacts merely provide tangible evidence of what philosophers and scientists have long suspected: that humanity represents neither the pinnacle of intelligence nor the sole conscious observers of cosmic reality. The hunter returns to his truck as full darkness envelops the canyon. Tomorrow, he'll resume his conservation work, protecting habitat, maintaining ecological balance, serving as steward for his small corner of a possibly much larger community of conscious beings. His satellite phone vibrates with incoming messages, updates from the Congressional Oversight Committee, interview requests from documentary producers, invitations to international scientific conferences. He silences the device without checking specifics. The world continues processing the implications of what he discovered. His role remains complete. Driving home beneath the vast desert sky, the hunter reflects on the journey from that first morning. How the quality of silence had pressed against his eardrums, how animal behavior had signaled something unusual, how curiosity had overcome caution. The path from hunter-tracking deer to unexpected discoverer of profound secrets had unfolded through seemingly random choices and observations. Yet nothing about the discovery feels truly random now. Each decision, each observation, each instinctive choice had led precisely where he needed to go, as if fulfilling a role written into the fabric of existence itself. The hunter smiles at this uncharacteristically philosophical thought. Perhaps the artifact's influence extends beyond physical properties into perception itself, expanding awareness, suggesting connections previously unnoticed, illuminating patterns within apparent randomness. His cabin appears ahead, familiar and unchanged despite everything. The hunter parks beside it, stepping out to survey his property in the moonlight. Something moves at the forest edge, a deer watching him with ancient wariness. Hunter and hunted observe each other across evolutionary distance, connected through ecological relationship rather than understanding. The deer disappears into the darkness as the hunter turns toward his cabin door. Inside, life continues its familiar pattern: simple routines, quiet contemplation, connection to the natural world. Outside, humanity grapples with profound questions about cosmic neighbors and universal principles. Between these worlds stands the hunter, ordinary individual who discovered extraordinary truth, anonymous catalyst for worldwide transformation. The role brings neither pride nor regret, simply acceptance of responsibility fulfilled and purpose served. He builds a small fire in the hearth, the flames illuminating the photograph of the artifact fragment. Its geometric patterns seem to shift slightly in the flickering light, reminiscent of how the actual object affected perception itself. The hunter considers what lies ahead: continued scientific investigation, philosophical reconsideration, perhaps eventual contact with whatever intelligence created the artifacts. The process will unfold across decades, perhaps centuries, advancing through countless individual contributions toward collective understanding. His own contribution, discovery, documentation, exposure, represents merely the first step in humanity's journey toward a more comprehensive cosmic perspective. Others will carry the process forward, building upon what began with a hunter who accidentally found a secret cave in the Grand Canyon, stepped inside, and confronted a reality beyond conventional understanding. Outside his window, stars continue their ancient patterns across the desert sky. Somewhere among them, perhaps, exist answers to questions humanity is only beginning to formulate. The hunter watches briefly before turning away from cosmic mystery toward immediate reality. The warming cabin, the crackling fire, the simple comfort of questions acknowledged rather than answered. Tomorrow brings another day of conservation work. The canyon and its secrets will remain under watchful scientific eyes, and the hunter will continue his life, forever changed by discovery, yet fundamentally the same in his commitment to stewardship and truth. The fire settles into steady embers as he prepares for sleep. Whatever dreams come tonight will occur within a universe now known to be more complex, more mysterious, and potentially more populated than previously understood. A perspective gained through curiosity, courage, and the simple human determination to understand what lies hidden within darkness. If you enjoyed this thrilling investigation, don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending stories that challenge our understanding of reality. Remember to like, share, and comment with your theories about what the hunter really discovered in that secret Grand Canyon cave.